Welcome to Perpetual Motion, everybody, a podcast for lifelong learners who share my passion for ongoing personal growth by improving their communication skills, relationships, finances, and wellness. I'm your host, Dr. Mo Anderson. My guest today is a talented individual, I kid you not. Keane Yu of Vancouver, British Columbia, is a life coach, a transformation coach, and a successful realtor. He also has a strong background in digital marketing, which is evident in his popular social media posts. Keane has a deep passion for fitness, nutrition, and personal development, all things I love too. He helps others operate at peak performance through daily disciplines that lead to that winning mindset. Just wait until you hear the story of how disciplined he is, including what he did at his wedding. Today, we're talking mindset, fitness, and nutrition. So if you're ready to transform your life from meh to good or great to even better, stay tuned.
You can't say Dr. Mo ain't tell ya that fear magnifies the consequences of failure. What are you scared of? Why are you afraid? I'd rather live like I'm dying than live to die. Any day my heart is pure, my soul is safe.
Welcome, Keane.
Thank you so much for having me on here, Dr. Mo. I'm so excited to dive into it and just really want to see how we can share our stories and get into it.
All right, I'm hyped. Let's go. You said we should own our story. So what's your story and why does owning our story matter?
My story, well, let's go back to my childhood. When I was a young boy, I've always been in very competitive settings. I played a lot of sports and pretty much was an athlete growing up. And I had a lot of love from my family, my parents, and my two older brothers. So being the youngest out of three brothers, there's a lot of different life lessons that I can really excel in terms of learning because I'm learning things that's 3-4 years ahead of me because my brothers were 3 and 4 years older than I am. So I was exposed to a lot of things in my early age. And as I got older, I started seeing that we're able to take that the competitive behavior or the competitive environment and apply it to our everyday life. And it's not only in sports that we can be competitive. And kind of as I got older, I was always pondering what I wanted to do. And eventually after high school, I just stumbled across going to college, and I was just taking random courses such as psychology, criminology, business, marketing, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And eventually in my college years, I got into 3 car accidents within the span of like 2 years. And that was kind of when I had a very, very eye-opening, life-changing moment. Because when the first car accident happened, I didn't really think much of it. I was kind of just stopped at a light and I got hit by my car got hit by another car, and I just thought, oh, it's a bad place, just the wrong
Right.
place, wrong time.
Right.
And then the second accident happened like I don't even think a year after. And that second car accident, I was just driving across the intersection. I got T-boned and the car spun around, and there was kind of that moment where it's like, whoa, like this could have been really bad. But I'm so thankful that I came out of that like unharmed.
Great.
And then shortly after, I was going through another intersection. I got hit by another car again.
What?
And that really solidified the belief like your life can really change in an instant.
Yeah.
And that happened in my early 20s. So now I'm in my early 30s. Like I've gone through 10 years having that mindset, knowing like anything can happen in an instant. And that's kind of like my early 20s. And eventually going back to talking about being competitive,
Mhm.
I took a seminar called the Personal Success Institute seminar, I think it was, and it really shifted my mindset from wanting to be competitive to collaborative.
Mhm.
And that was, I think, around 2 or 3 years ago, and that was kind of a whole new mindset shift that happened in my life as well too. So pretty much early 20s, had the several car accidents and just a whole bunch of different experience in many different things. And then the past few years was changing my mindset from a competitive mindset to a collaborative mindset. And eventually it led me to wanting to help people on a coaching journey.
Mhm. Got it, got it. So
Yeah.
your story is very interesting, and I mean, that was traumatic. That was 3 instances of trauma, and you could have gone so many ways with that in terms of your mindset. So I'm glad you went in a positive direction, because a lot of people would have been like, "Oh, woe is me. I'm just bad luck. All these terrible things keep happening to me." But you turned that difficult challenge, I won't say negative, random stuff happens to people all the time, but you turned it into something positive and empowering. And the other thing is, that just caught my ear is you said you were in college taking random courses like psych and criminology. That's not the random courses most people take. It's like basket weaving and tennis or whatever. So you already had a mindset that was analytical and thirsting for knowledge. Because I'm gonna say those really weren't random, even though you might think they were. They seem to kind of have played into the course of your life and what you're doing now. So good choices on your random courses.
Yeah, and funny enough, when I was in college, I actually got academic suspension. So what that
Oh.
means is my grades were not good. So I basically failed 2 semesters in a row, and then I wasn't able to pursue post secondary for X amount of time because of the suspension.
Mhm.
And that was kind of also another thing where it's like I didn't know how to take life seriously at the time, and
I was gonna
that
ask,
was
was that
another.
immaturity and just partying, or was it hard? Was it
I think
the
it was.
difficulty?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Mhm.
Um, well, when I was in school, I was always put into the different classes. I always had like the resource classes. I always had to. I wasn't in high school. I wasn't able to take a language course. They replaced my language course, like French or Japanese or whatever language, a second language, with a
Mhm.
resource class, which is kind of a class where people that needed extra help
Mhm.
had to take. And then in my grade 12 year, I wasn't allowed to take any academic courses. So it was all electives. And I was put in communications 12, which is, I guess, the quote unquote easier version of English 12.
Okay. Was there a diagnosis, or I mean, that's not typically something they just do. Were you dyslexic or something? What was going on?
So I think there was, yeah, pretty much diagnosed ADHD,
Mhm.
ADD, and I think a big list of things. And yeah, just kind of eventually I felt that maybe it was hard at first, but I one of another life-changing point, or another thing that really changed my life, was actually when I was in the workforce. I was working at a car dealership, and this gentleman, he was like, well, he also worked there, and he's like, he found out about the courses that I was in, and like when I was growing up, it was very hard for me academically. And he said something that really changed my life, which was, have you ever thought maybe you just needed to learn how to learn, and it
Wow.
wasn't that learning was difficult? And when he said that, I think that like just opened a whole new world to me, because I'm like thinking like maybe this is something that I just need to spend some time on, just
Mhm.
figure out how to learn. And now like I can learn very, very fast. I've started taking different courses. I took a course called like Super Learner or something like
Mhm.
that. It was a
Yeah.
memory course, and like I just started going on Udemy, on Skillshare, and like just found different ways to
And these,
learn.
for people not familiar with those, these are sites with online courses, correct?
Yes.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And then after my academic suspension, I attended school. I went back to school,
Mhm.
and I took marketing and business, and eventually I took the route of digital marketing and an online social media and online marketing, and I got a statement of completion in that, and that was a breeze. Like And then after that, I
You
became a
found your niche. You found your
yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
And then I became an avid reader, and then now I read every day, and I've always been somebody who's very infatuated with knowledge.
Hmm.
And as I reflect back, even as a kid, I had bookshelves, and I would always read, like, just go through books. But for some reason, during high school and a little bit after high school, I never realized that I always was somebody that loved books, even as a kid.
Right. Right. Me too. I'm an avid reader. I always going to the library was like that was like Six Flags for me. Our amusement parks here. I was just, oh my God, we're going to the library. And my friends thought I was nerdy, but hey, it worked out. It worked out. Well, listen, interesting, Genesis story, if you will, and should be inspiring to people because a lot of people have been diagnosed with ADHD and other conditions, whether they're neurodiverse or whatever, and just don't give up on yourself. That was profound advice he gave you that you need to learn how to learn because we think it's natural. It's not something we think about, but that's the reason a lot of parents push college and school so much. It's not specifically what you learn, it's learning to have critical thinking and analytical skills and research and all of that. That's what we want. That's the goal. And
Hmm.
then you can do whatever you want with that, but how you learn how to learn. So
Hmm.
that's a tweetable moment. I'm always looking for the tweet, but thank you for sharing that. What I'd also like for you to share, so fast forward some years later, you found the love of your life and you guys are getting married and you did something unusual, at least for the South where I'm from. You did something unusual at your wedding. Can you share that story with us?
Yeah. So before my wedding, I'm gonna say it was this year, and right now it's November. I think it was probably sometime in May. I made a commitment to just pretty much cut out all my vices. I used to drink alcohol. Used to be I loved smoking cannabis, so
Mhm.
I did a lot of cannabis, and yeah, now I made a decision to just be sober for life. And the last time I had a drink was actually on New Year's this year, so January 1st, 2023. And that was, yeah, pretty much the last time I had a drink. And then I went on a program called 75 Hard, which is a 75-day program, which is no alcohol. So I did
Mhm.
that. So that ended up being like a few months into 2023. And I realized, like, oh, I don't really need alcohol. So since then, I just made that commitment. I don't need to drink any alcohol anymore, and made that announcement. Let my friends know, let my family know when my wedding
Were
happened.
they
I
surprised? Sounds like you were
don't
hardcore
think
before then. Were they surprised to
I,
hear this?
I don't think they were too surprised because it was kind of gradual. I think
I see.
in my early 20s, I was a DJ, so I was always at the club. You know, when I was at the club, behind the decks, spinning, I'd always have a vodka seven. That was
Oh,
my drink, and
sure.
that would just always. I would be in that environment, and I would be at
Mhm.
the clubs like several days a week. So alcohol was a big part of my life in my early 20s,
Mhm.
and my first drink was actually, I think, when I was 13. So I had some history with alcohol, and eventually I kind of just it just made me really sick the next day. I always have these massive hangovers, and then slowly would
That
start.
part.
Yeah, but it's weird because I had massive regret, but I still never did anything about it. Like, I still remember Christmas, I think maybe four years ago. Like, I didn't even make it up to my bedroom. I was just puking in the living room the whole day, and like
Ooh.
that didn't even do it for me to stop. Like, that wasn't even enough for me to stop drinking. But
And
it
then
was
you
kind of
just and then you
just
cold turkey basically quit despite that history.
it did take a little bit of time. And even at my brother's wedding, like my oldest brother, when he got
Mhm.
married, I he asked me to do a speech. So we started drinking midday, and the speech was probably around like 6:30. Before the speech, I went up to my hotel room. I was puking, and then I just like crashed. I went to bed, and then I got a call.
No,
I got a
no
call like, "Oh, you
way.
got to do the speech." So I like quickly ran down, and I vaguely remember it, but everybody was like, "Oh, that was such a great speech," and I got a lot of applaud for it. But right after the speech, I went back upstairs, and I missed the rest of the wedding,
Oh
and
man.
that still wasn't enough for me to quit drinking.
Hmm. I
But
would
yeah.
imagine your parents were a little disappointed about that though, that you missed the wedding. But you did your speech, you did your part. Were you the best man?
I wasn't the best man, but it was I was in the wedding party.
You were in the wedding party. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, you said something funny there. You said that you were in your early 20s, you were DJ and you were drinking a lot. I think a lot of us were drinking a lot and we weren't DJs at all. So that's not that uncommon. I'm not, I plead the fifth, but I don't think that's that uncommon. But I can definitely see where being a DJ and people, they probably were giving you free drinks anyway for you.
Yeah, yeah, that was part of the perks of being at the nightclub.
Exactly, exactly. And then you gave up all of those vices because you were getting married and you felt like you needed to give that up. I'm not clear on what made you
So it wasn't the fact that I
change.
was getting married, but it was the fact that I just wanted to be the best that I can be. I wanted to be my best and highest self. And I feel that these vices is really holding me back to become that person that I see myself in the next 5, 10 years. I have a very, very strong vision of exactly that man that I want to be in 5 years. And it's just holding on very strongly to that vision and working each and every single day to become that person. And that's where it comes in with having the proper mindset, having
Right.
the proper training, eating the proper food so I can become that person in 5 years. But in 5 years, I'm going to be like, I need to be like this guy. And I'm always on that journey of trying to achieve the better me.
Right, right. And growth and development is not a set point. You know, people think I'm going to get here, I'm going to get to this age, and I'm going to be mature and I'm going to be wise. And no, we continue to grow, we continue to make mistakes, we continue to acquire new skills. It is a journey. And yes, your idea of who you want to be and how you want to be changes as you go along that road. And I like hearing you say that. As we talk about mindset mastery, can you share some common limiting beliefs that you see in your clients or others, and how do you guide them in overcoming these?
So I think one of the biggest obstruction that many people have is not believing in themselves. So, for example, if they haven't ever thought of that person that they want to be and have a very, very clear picture of who they want to be, even in the next year, in the next 12 months, not having a clear vision of that will get them off track very, very easily because they don't see a bigger picture of why do I have to go through, I'm going to call it suffering for now, just because as you're trying to develop better discipline, develop a better healthy lifestyle, it may feel like suffering at first because you're giving up the things that you love to do, such as, let's say if you made a commitment to stop drinking, somebody may be feeling suffer feeling that they're suffering not being able to have a drink because they're so attached to it. But if they have that vision of the person who they want to be in 12 months, they know that, okay, in 12 months I'm working on becoming somebody that doesn't drink. If that vision is stronger than the drink itself, then it will allow them to have better discipline to say no to that drink. And I think it's because people don't believe in themselves and they don't see themselves in becoming that person is where they have the biggest obstruction. It's like, okay, I don't see myself in 12 months being this person that doesn't drink, even though they make that commitment that they don't want to have another drink for the rest of their lives. They
Gotcha.
just don't see that them as themselves
Hmm.
is what
Hmm.
holds them back.
Oh, that's a great answer. There's a biblical scripture that says, "For lack of vision, the people perish." But to use your words, you need a vision that's stronger than your vice, and That's really, really, really important. We have to have a goal. We have to have a vision of something we want to be that we're committed to, that's important to us, and that does give us the strength to give up things that are really making us weak. Um, so,
Yeah.
and you're a good example of that. Yeah.
And another thing too is I think where people can be on track for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of dieting, exercising, and just really having those like building those healthy habits for 3 4 weeks, and then they end up falling off track. And one thing that I find a lot of people struggle with is not picking themselves back up. Once they fall off track, they continue to just stumble even further and further and further off track.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the problem is. It's not the problem of they fell off track, but it's the problem of they fell off track and did nothing about it and did not try to get back on track.
Right. Right.
So when you're getting momentum and you're on a program and you're like, "Oh, I'm feeling really really good, but I fell off track today." You have to realize that you fell off track and get back on track. You
Yeah.
need the acceptance. You have to have acceptance to say like, "Hey, I screwed up today, but
Mm-hmm.
that's okay because tomorrow I'm going to be even better and I'm going to fix my mess up. I'm going to
Yeah.
ensure I don't have another drink. I'm going to ensure I'm not overeating on my diet. I'm going to ensure that I'm sticking with the program, what I set out for myself as my daily non-negotiables, and
Mm-hmm.
just get back on track." But a lot of times people get off track and they're like, "Oh, I had this drink." And then the next day comes, they're like, "Oh, I had a drink yesterday. I can just start again tomorrow." And
Right.
when they have that thought in their head and they don't resist that thought, that's when they continue to stumble further and further off track. And that's another biggest struggle that I find people have when they're trying to develop a healthier lifestyle.
Right. Great. Great. Could you share some specific habits that you believe are crucial for setting the tone for a successful day? We're kind of talking long term goals, but just we really have to tackle it one day at a time as well. Like you said, and giving yourself a little grace. What are some
Mhm.
habits that you have or that you teach your clients?
Yeah, so I'll walk you guys through my own system that I have, which is a system that keeps me grounded. It's something I can rely on. It's something that I do every single day, the moment I wake up, and it's a system that gives myself self-love before I do anything else in the day. So the first thing I do when I get up is I hop into the cold shower. I do that first thing just to it wakes me up. I get that effect where whoa, that shock effect, and then right after that, well, once I'm finished out of getting out of the washroom, then I'll make my protein shake with coffee. So I'll make a coffee protein shake. I'll drink that, and then I'll quickly grab up my journal and I'll do some reflecting. So I'll either write something I regret that day or the day before. Maybe it's something that I did. Maybe I was off on my diet. Maybe I overate. Just something that I have some regret. I'll write that down. If I
Hmm.
don't have anything that I'm regretting, then maybe it's just whatever's on my mind, or it may just be, or it may just be a message I want to share with the world. So it's kind of just whatever I'm feeling that day.
Okay.
But it's a process to remove whatever's in my head
Hmm.
first thing in the morning. So after that, I'll do some light reading, and the reading is just to give myself some ideas and just have that standard practice of reading.
Right.
And then after that, I do like a quick set of burpees just to get my blood flowing, get my heart rate up. And then most of the time, I'll probably just go to the gym right after that. Or if I'm deciding to train a little bit later in the day, then I'll just get on with doing some work. But that's kind of how I start my day every single day. And as long
Nice.
as I go through that process, it really doesn't matter what happens throughout the day. Like the worst thing can happen later in the day. I know I took care of myself first, so
Hmm.
I'll always feel grounded.
Nice. Nice. You're doing things to nourish your mind, body, and soul, which is great and leads me to my next question. Nurturing your mind, your body, your spirit is so vitally critical, especially in the stressful news cycle of today. our own personal challenges. We're all dealing with something. I don't know anybody that's not dealing with something, no matter how they look, how they
Mhm.
smile, how they glow, how they floss. They're dealing with something. How do you strengthen the connection between mind, body, and soul? And why is that important for overall well being?
So I believe that it's important because no matter what we're doing throughout the day, we need to take care of the vessel. And the vessel is our body. So that's why we have to properly nourish it. So we need to eat the proper food and have the proper nutrition. And then also the training is the exercising to be able to get body fat off, to build lean muscle, and just do vigorous activities that's training the body, which is also strengthening the mind. And what I believe is if you're working on your body and you're working on your mind, you're working on your soul. And I do believe that there's like a, I'm going to call it the universal, like universal intelligence or something like that. And that is probably where our souls are communicating with other people. And we have like auras or like a some sort of energy that kind of vibrates off of us.
Hmm.
And I
Yeah,
feel like if it's something that we work on, and if we are able to show up as our best and highest self, if we were looking at ourselves as light, we would be very, very vibrant if we focus really hard on working on ourselves. And if we nourish our mind, body, and soul, we'll be seen as a very, very bright light if we're looking in a universal kind of like realm per se.
understood. Understood.
So I
Uh,
want people to feel me even though we're not really seeing each other like face to face, but they can feel my presence because I'm just somebody who's just working so hard on myself that I am my best and highest self, that I vibrate and I feel very vibrant.
yeah, and you radiate positivity when you are at your best and highest self, and that's attractive to people. It is like a pheromone. It is just invisible, but yet so powerfully
Hmm.
magnetic. You are a transformation coach, and I thought I'd hit every kind of coach that you could talk about in my 10 years of doing this. I thought I'd met them all, but I haven't heard that term before. Can you tell me what a transformation coach does, and give some examples of clients why they would come to you needing the transformative coaching process?
Yeah, so I think if we're talking from a very, very face value, what transformation is, if we're just talking about somebody's physique, let's say somebody that's around, 20, 30 pounds overweight, and they want to lose the body fat and just have a better physique. That's a very physical transformation that I can help people with. Somebody who's struggling with their discipline, or maybe they want to stop smoking cannabis, or they want to stop drinking, and they see that I'm able to make that commitment to cut that out for the rest of my life and be able to replace those unhealthy habits with healthier habits.
Mhm.
That's a transformation with the mindset, right? So there's my my type of coaching is very holistic, and what I focus on is to kind of help people become more holistic, healthier, and happy, all as a whole. And for me, in order for me to do that, I believe it is being in the best shape of your life, being able to develop better discipline, better mindset, and then be eating the proper food that allows you to stay strong and be able to lose body fat and build lean muscle. So
Gotcha.
that's kind of where my coaching is really focused on. So I'm going to say like it's personal development coaching as a whole, where we just continue to tackle mindset, training, and nutrition. And the days that we set out for ourselves, we're at a caloric deficit. We're continuously challenging ourselves by just restricting restricting food. So I'm not saying that you're not allowed to eat whatever you want. You can eat whatever you want, but you just got to be very, very cautious with what you're eating. You're not overeating on your calories. You have to hit
Mhm.
your macros, because the macronutrients is so important for keeping the body at peak performance. Because if you overeat on fat and carbohydrates and you don't have don't have enough protein, then you may start losing muscle mass, and we don't want that.
No.
We don't want to consume too much fat, because if we're eating too much fat, it's basically the same as the fat that's stored on your body, and it's a lot harder to burn that fat that you're consuming, opposed to the calories that you're consuming, the carbohydrates that you're consuming. So
Okay.
very strategic with how we're eating and how we're feeding our bodies. And when you eat well, you operate at peak performance. So it's kind of educating and informing clients how to do that, and being able to kind of set your life at a little bit of a harder difficulty, opposed to kind of just drifting by, is what I help people do.
Okay, well, that sounds like a noble profession, and I'm sure they are grateful, and it's gotta be a good feeling for you as well. It's always great helping people overcome the challenges in their lives and just change, like you said, that a change of your mindset is gonna change everything around you, including your family and those relationships that you have that are so important to us. Before we go, I'm wondering how you, as a realtor, uh just talking about that business part of you, how do you integrate personal and professional development for overall thriving? And I want to go at this for people who are not coaches.
So in terms of real estate, so let's backtrack a little bit on this. So when I was pursuing my real estate license, I was not completely out of shape, but I had a lot more body fat on myself. And when I was pursuing my license, I felt that I needed to get in shape. When clients saw me, they'd be like, "Oh, Kian takes care of his body. I know that he's going to definitely take care of me very well." So that was the thought that I had, and eventually I was in my journey of trying to get fit. I had that competitive mindset where, I want to get in shape so I can show other people that I'm better than them. And when I took that seminar that I was telling you about earlier, the personal
Mhm.
success seminar that changed my mind from being competitive to collaborative, was when I finally actually got the results of being in the best shape of my life. So I was at a standstill for a very long time. And when I got my license and then I took that seminar and changed my mindset to being more collaborative, it led into me shifting my mindset from I need to be in the best shape of my life so I can show other people that I'm better than them, to I need to be in the best shape of my life so I can inspire other people to be in better shape.
Wow. Wow.
And when I had that shift, that was when I was able to finally get into the best shape of my life. And I think kind of as I was able to do that, it slowly just attracted people to me talking about real estate. Um, I've always had a very strict regimen in terms of training. So with that, it was kind of just always a process that I had, even if I had real estate work, or even if I had to go out to do tours or do open houses, or just work on the real estate business.
Mhm.
So I think part of being a, let's call it a entrepreneur or a solopreneur, because that's what a realtor probably is.
Mhm.
In most cases, personal development is very, very important. As you're continuing to develop yourself, clients are attracted to that, and then there's different avenues that they start connecting to you with outside of real estate.
Mhm.
And kind of from there, if they see that you're really taking care of yourself, they genuinely feel that you can take care of them.
Nice, nice. Give you a little clap for that. Thank you, Ken, for sharing your journey and principles for success and transformation. Tell everyone how to connect with you online to learn more about your coaching and real estate and other services and endeavors. I've already started following you on IG and really enjoy your posting. Yeah, he is ripped too. We didn't even get to talk about really going dead about his 16 pack, but you do want to follow Ken on IG. So I'll let you share how to connect with you now.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. It's at Keane Yu, at Keaneyu. I'm the most active there. If you send me a DM, it's me responding, and I try to get back to all the messages as soon as possible because that's basically the platform that I live off. And that's the best place that you can find me and reach me at.
Sweet, sweet. Well, thank you so much for your time and good energy and continued success to you, Keane.
Thank you so much.
And wasn't that a great program? Oh, love that episode. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Learn more about me on my website, drmoanderson.com. That's MOE. You can read book excerpts, watch videos, learn about my services that I offer, and book me for a speaking engagement. I'd love to talk with your group, and I'd love to work with you. So until the next time, review, renew, and renew. Thank you.